Greetings, I'm Pete Pardo with Sea of Tranquility. Today is Thursday, January the 11th. For anybody who's kind of following the metal news this morning, you know it's not a good day. It's again, we're going to be doing one of those shows here that I kind of hate to do, but know I need to. We're going to pay tribute to a fallen member of the music community who left us way too soon within the last 24 hours. I'm talking about Fastway Clarke, ex-guitar player from Motorhead as well as Fastway. So 67 years old, apparently passed away after complications from pneumonia. And, now, the sad truth is now, within the last, 2.5 years, if even that, right? That whole nucleus, that classic trio of Motorhead are all gone. So we lost both Lemmy and Filthy Animal Taylor back in 2015, and now Fast Eddie is gone from us as well. So, a big impact, a big loss, I should say. This is a musician who made a big impact on the late 70s, early 80s metal scene. Motorhead were a really highly influential band, and those classic albums with Fast Eddie Clarke on them are widely considered their best and most influential. And this is a loss that really stings, folks. So, let's talk a little bit about Eddie and his career. He kind of came from a blues background, but and he kind of brought that to the world of Motorhead. Motorhead, let me always claim we're just a rock and roll band, right? But, Motorhead were something new, something different when they burst on the scene in the late 70s and became more prominent in the 80s. Motorhead kind of brought this loud, aggressive kind of punk and hard rock and blues and that early extreme metal sound, and I kind of all collided together. You had these three players. You had those unmistakable vocals of Lemmy and his, great Rickenbacker bass playing. Of course, he came from Hawkwind before then, so he had a bit of a name. And then you had these kind of ragged, jagged guitar riffs and solos from Fast Eddie, using Stratocaster and a bit of Les Paul, mostly the Strat, and then Filthy Animal Taylor's rumbling drums. It was just like a sound that we'd never really heard before, and they were kind of hard to classify. They were always kind of called a metal band, but were they really? I don't know. They were kind of mixed with a lot of things. So back in 77? So they debuted with this self-titled album, which probably the weakest out of all of the early Motorhead albums, but still, you had the title track on here, Lost Johnny, White Line Fever, what else? Their own version of Train Kept a Rollin', Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers, these some bonus tracks on here, Vibrator. It's kind of an interesting album that paved the way for what was to come. And, their next album, which came out in 79, probably my personal Motorhead favorite, is Overkill. From that amazing cover, and then you have the photos of the band on the back. There's Mr. Clarke with his Stratocaster, some classics on here. The title track with its incredible kick drums on to start it all with. Stay Clean, Oh, I'll Be Your Sister, Capricorn, I love Capricorn, No Class, Damage Case, Tear You Down, Metropolis, Limb from Limb, I Won't Pay Your Price, top to bottom. Just some really, really great material that just kind of really got the legend of Motorhead started. That's where it kind of really began to take place. And that was followed up pretty quickly in 79. These were both in 79 with the Bomber album. Okay. Another instant classic. Just what do you got here? Dead Men Tell No Tales. Doesn't get much better than that. Lawman, Sweet Revenge, Sharpshooter, Poison, Stone Dead Forever, All the Acres, Step Down, Talking Head, title track. And if you got the remasters that came out, you got all sorts of bonus tracks and whatnot. Another really, really strong album. Followed up by what a lot of people consider their best. And I would say for me, it's this album and Overkill are their two best. I'm talking about Ace of Spades from 1980, that iconic photo on the front of them. And then the track list, which of course includes the title track, Love Me Like a Reptile, Shoot You in the Back, Live to Win, Fast and Loose, Fire, Fire, Jailbait, Bite the Bullet, goes on and on and on. Again, just that kind of raucous, loud, filthy, grungy Motorhead sound, unmistakable sound with that booming lead bass and, the kind of ragged, I don't even know any other way to explain Fastway's guitar riffs. They were unlike anybody else, but the man was a riff master. There was nothing clean about his sound, just real dirty sounding guitar riffs and solos. Just a real innovator. He may not have been the most technical player on the planet. Didn't need to be. His guitar style fit the music perfectly. Okay, by this time, we're going to go to, I believe this is 81. All right, got to have the live album, and it's one of the best ones of the 80s. No Sleep Till Hammersmith. Again, a lot of their best tracks are covered here. It's just, live, as great as their records were, live, these guys were a juggernaut. So a little story. So back in 1981, so it was right about this time, the first ever real rock concert that I saw was Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz with Randy Rhoads, with Motorhead opening up at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center in Poughkeepsie, New York. And, I was at the time, 15 years old, right? I just turned 15. And the first band that I'm actually seeing in a large venue, excuse me, is this trio known as Motorhead, who I had never listened to before, and I happened to, the way our seats were, I was like not far from Lemmy, and here's this guy standing there, with the microphone coming down, just screaming up a storm, and the music that these three guys created was so fucking loud. I was just kind of like, I didn't know what to think of this. I was like, holy crap, this is like, it was kind of scary. For me, Motorhead at the time, or like, this is when there really was no extreme metal, but you had like Motorhead coming out, and then all of a sudden you got Venom and Celtic Frost and then Slayer. So, all of a sudden metal is starting to become more dangerous. Okay. But a great live album. A lot of great guitar work from Fastway on there. And then his swan song with the band, okay, was Iron Fist, 1982. So again, title track is great, Heart of Stone, I'm the Doctor, Go to Hell. A lot of really good tunes on here. For some people, not as strong as all these ones that came before it. That's probably pretty true. Still a damn good album. So, but of course, as history shows, Fastway left Motorhead right around this time, after this album was released, replaced by Brian Robertson, ex-lead guitar player of Thin Lizzy. Okay, they did that album, Another Perfect Day, which kind of a different album, but really, really good. That was a short partnership. Okay, but that's a story for another day. So what did Fastway do after he left Motorhead? Well, he decided to kind of change gears a little bit and probably go back or go to something that was a little closer to what he was really all about. So initially, he was going to form a band with Pete Way from UFO, Jerry Shirley from Humble Pie, okay, and a singer named David King. That band was to be called Fastway, but due to contractual obligations and legalities, Pete Way was not actually allowed to take part in the recording of the album or be in the band going forward. But although his name is still obviously, in the name of the band, Fastway. This is a killer album, and like I said, so you can see here, let me just pull this out. I'll just show you here. There's Fastway and Jerry Shirley, David King, okay, and a killer album. Probably one of my favorite albums of the year when it came out in 1983. They did lots of tours with some really big bands. I think I saw them open up for Maiden and maybe Dio. I kind of forget. It's a long time ago. This is amazing, heavy, bluesy hard rock. I wouldn't call this a metal album, okay, but some of the best riffs and melodies and songs of this time period in that style. This is like a homage to some of those classic heavy blues rock bands of the 70s, like Humble Pie, like Bad Company, like Free, like Cactus, like Zeppelin, okay, that sort of thing. And Fastway just came up with some ridiculously memorable guitar riffs on here. So, you got Easy Living, Feel Me, Touch Me, Do Anything You Want, All I Need Is Your Love, Another Day, great. Heft, awesome heavy song. We Become One, probably the best tune on here. Just a killer, killer tune. Give It All You Got, Say What You Will was kind of their, kind of fun FM hit. You Got Me Running, Give It Some Action, Far, Far From Home. They would put out I think 2 albums with this lineup, and then they would kind of change singers, change lineup, whatever. They'd break up for a little bit, come back. The next time I kind of really came in touch with them was the Dog Eat Dog, right? Oh, Eat Dog Eat, sorry. Album from 2012, which is also pretty damn solid and showed that Fast Eddie was still in some fine form. But, other than that, he's been keeping somewhat of a low profile over the last bunch of years. But, it's just a shame to see someone so influential for so many years to so many people. He had pneumonia. You don't hear about people dropping from pneumonia every day. But, I guess when you're in your mid-late 60s and you've lived the lives that a lot of these guys have for the last 40 plus, I guess getting pneumonia can be kind of scary, and it's not a guarantee that you're going to get through it, right, as we've seen. We've also lost in the last couple of days, we've lost fame producer Chris Sangarides. I never knew how to say his name. He died in his early 60s. He also got pneumonia. It's just kind of a sad day. But, Fast Eddie Clarke, a legend. He actually was not the original guitarist in Motorhead. That was actually Larry Wallace, but who spent a brief time in the band when Lemmy first formed it. But, from the years of, 76 through 82, that's some pretty fruitful 6 years right there. And then those first couple of Fastway albums are just, classics. They really are. So, the self-titled and the All Fired Up album. So, anyway, that's all I've got for today. Again, it's a sad day. Fast Eddie Clarke, probably a loss that's going to really resonate pretty hard with a lot of people. Because I think Motorhead were just a really, really well-respected and well-loved band by hard rockers and metal fans and punk fans for a long, long time. And, the loss of Lemmy really hurt a couple years ago. And, we also lost Taylor that year as well. And it just sucks now that this kind of classic lineup of this classic band, they're all gone. It's really a sad day for heavy music. So, Fast Eddie, may you rest in peace. He's up there jamming with the other 2 guys I know right now. Gone from us way too soon at the age of 67. So till next time, I am Pete Pardo with Sea of Tranquility. Visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and of course we're here on the mighty YouTube. We'll see you next time, hopefully with some more uplifting news to tell you. We've got some new rants and some new product episodes coming up very, very soon. So take care. See you soon.